Hello, America! Welcome to Angel and the Wiz. How are they going to know who's who? I want to talk about something very specific about Disney World. Okay, now, this is Chemo Week 6, or Week 12. Okay, Chemo Week 12. This is the last Friday, this is the last week of the second part. Okay, there's a total of 3 parts, so this is really important. This is a nice thing. Now, last week I promised all positive shows, and we blew through the first one.
Yes,
like,
we did.
we had stuff. The girl talked, you know.
The girl talked.
Okay, so now.
Pulling your eyes.
Okay. No. Bad girl. Okay, and
all right, positive stuff.
Positive
Disney
stuff.
World.
And we say hello again to our anonymous friend, whoever you might be, and you don't have to worry. We'll never tell. I don't even know. She won't even tell me.
I won't tell.
Okay.
My lips are sealed.
Now,
What?
we started talking about Disney. I guess we talked about Disneyland, Disney World.
Yeah.
Something everybody talks about when they talk about Disney. They talk about its quality, or its prices, or all of these other different things. One of the things that the Disney people never get credit for, that I really think I'm going to give them credit for it this week. I'm just a guest. I'm just a guy that comes down there. But the fact of the matter is, if Disney stresses diversity in its casting, okay, every race, every sex, every ethnic background, every color, no, that's where I'm going. That's the one that is always overlooked. Disney has a tremendously diverse cast group, and one of the things that they are also very diverse in is disabilities, people with challenges, and they really do not get, the credit I think they deserve, because, now, the only thing I haven't seen is someone who's completely and totally blind, but I'll bet you there's some place in the corporate structure where you don't have to see, and they're working at Disney World. I've seen people with no legs. I've seen people that are handicapped, that have trouble moving around. I see people that can't talk as smooth as we might all like. I've seen people that, and Disney hires the handicapped. They are truly diverse, and too often, diverse is black and white, okay? Or maybe black and white and Asian, or maybe black and white and Asian and Spanish, Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to call it. But very rarely does Disney get the credit for the wide assortment of disabilities that it hires and puts right out there, and I applaud them for that. I think that's really.
I have seen when I worked down there, I saw a cast member that was blind. He might not. I don't know if he was 100% blind. Right. But he probably could have been. He was, I wouldn't know. I remember that he had a walker, but he worked at the attraction, the One Man's Dream attraction. Okay. So it was a simple attraction for him to work.
Handle.
To handle, yeah.
Because I could see there might be some places inside, in administration or stuff like that, where you could use Braille and you could be a whiz, and stuff like that. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up, and I didn't get a chance to last week because we talked about a lot of stuff.
How can you read this?
I know. I could be a doctor, see? I could be a doctor.
This is worse than the chicken scratch that
I know. See that? Okay. The second one on my list.
Secrets and the Lord? Is that what that says?
No. Are you ready for what it does say? I'll do that one. I was going to do Alan Freed, but I will do that. Secretariat and the Lord.
Where do you get Secretariat from this?
S-E-C-R-E-T, scribble.
God,
I have don't go any further. Don't tell them. I tell them. What's that one? Oh, yes. Secretariat and the Lord. God likes to keep his hand in. Let me tell you this story, because this is really, really priceless.
And it looks like there's either a phone number on here or...
What?
I don't know.
No, that's show 57 25 30 58 25. The FLA, FIL, falling in love. The good you find him. The girl in you. which should be a Clairol
That
commercial.
looks like
I should be making big bus.
T614.
TGIY. The Girl in You.
Okay, before we talk about Secretariat and the Lord, I forgot to tell you something else.
Good.
There was a reckless driver on the road the other morning.
Okay.
And so I called the highway patrol.
Good for you.
I wasn't going to at first because I've seen people kind of swerving,
Right,
but
yeah,
they're
but-
staying in their own lane, and I could get
They're
around
not
them.
threatening others.
Yeah, until this guy almost swerved into the semi that was next to him, and
Right.
I was like, I am not getting stuck behind you after you cause an accident.
Right.
So I called the highway patrol,
Okay.
and I was on the highway, an overpass to an interstate, and where I would make, I was in the left lane. I wasn't the left turn lane. I was just the left lane on the road, but I was stopped. I waited until I was at a stoplight before I took out my phone and found the phone number for the highway
Right.
patrol, and I called. So I call and I state my name, and he says, so you're on your he goes, are you on the highway or on the interstate or on the overpass? Now, all I said to him was, hi, this is who I am, and I would like to report a reckless driver. He goes, are you on the interstate or are you on the overpass? And I said, I'm on the overpass. And at this point, the light had turned green and I started moving. And he goes, oh, I see, you're heading south. I said, how do you know this? We automatically GPS all cell phone calls that come into the
Oh,
highway
good. Of
patrol.
course, just in
and
case.
I was like, okay then. Well, this reckless driver is in front of me. Here's his license plate. He says,
Good.
okay, thank you. Drive safe. I'm like,
Good.
no problem.
Good. That's very cool. Did you get to see if he was at the follow-up, or you didn't get to see?
No, I didn't get to see because after a couple of other stoplights, this driver swerved around and drove and then started to speed up, which, I mean, I've gone fast on some of these roads, but he had to go at least 80 miles an hour,
Wow.
and I don't normally go that fast. in the
They're usually
morning.
looking for drugs when they're doing that.
Well, this was and then as I pulled into work, which my work is off the highway, off the road, but off that main road, but
Right.
it's close enough to
Right.
it. And I heard, when I got out of my car, I heard the sirens heading south. And I was like, okay, oh, either that idiot caused an accident or
Right.
they're going to go after him.
Right.
So,
Very
and
good.
it looked kind of, there's a lot of people that live in the area that don't have high-class cars. You drive a very old
I drive an old car,
You drive
2000.
an old car, yeah, but you keep it in good condition and you drive smart and
Right.
you're not swerving. But this
I'm in New
one,
York. I know how to drive.
This one was like an old car that looked like it hadn't been kept up, and
Right.
I'm thinking, they're probably high or drunk, and it's
Right.
6:00 in the morning.
That's right. They're going to get drugs.
Yeah, so
When they drive like that, it's a drug run.
hopefully they caught the guy.
I hope so. Let me see.
I was just more concerned that he was automatically GPS your location, and I'm like,
Yeah, right.
okay then.
Yeah, right. Well, but that's probably good, Oh, now,
Okay,
let me get back.
Secretariat and the
Yeah,
Lord.
because this is really good. Now, listen. If you've seen the movie Secretariat, or you
I
know
have
the
not.
story of Secretariat,
I don't know either.
it is an incredibly wonderful, beautiful film. Okay, it deserved to get all this nonsense they're making about the war horse or whatever. Like, see Secretariat if you got to see one. That's the one to see, because it's a true story, and it is really a great story. But I'm watching it the other day. Now I have a special relationship with the Lord. The Lord's been good to me my whole life.
Yes.
All right, He's been very good to me. But the Lord, two things about God. He likes to keep his hand in the game. We have free will, but you know what I'm saying? Every once in a while, he can't help himself. And also, he has a sense of humor.
He does.
He does, okay? So when you look back and you watch this film, okay, and you see what happened, Secretariat is the last horse to win the Triple Crown. That's three big races. That's the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. They get longer and harder as they go through. And some horses are good for speed, some are good for duration, distance, and Secretariat was the last one that was magnifique. He has records still unbroken.
Okay.
And when you see the movie and you see the chain of events that happen, you can't help, listen, a guy like me can't help but think, this is the Lord just having a little fun. Now let me tell you what I mean. He goes into this race, the wood race. I don't know what it's actually called, the woods or something like that. And he's been horse of the year, and everybody thinks he's great, and this, that, and the other thing. And the owner, Penny Cherry, has gone out, and they're going to lose the farm, and they got investors to take a chance and invest in a horse that hadn't won. And she got him to win, and they were all there to watch him run this race. And he runs the race, and he comes in like third.
Okay.
Okay, and so all the investors are saying, anybody can lose one race, and all the contracts are based on performance. So, and this big guy says, you can lose one race, but 2 races, that's performance. That's a problem. And the next race is going to be the Kentucky Derby. Well, so he comes in third. Now, subsequent to that, he runs the Kentucky Derby in a time that's never been beat. Then he runs the Preakness in a time that's never been beat. And he wins the Belmont. Now, and you got to keep in mind that with Secretariat laid back in the starting gate. He was never in a rush. He always was in the back. And then when he'd get around the corners, he started whipping around the corners and he'd come through and win. And that was his pattern, how he always ran. So, and the Belmont was 1.5 miles, much longer than he'd ever run. And they were really worried about how he was going to do. That was the real final test. A lot of horses have won the first 2, failed at the Belmont. Okay, so he's running at the Belmont, and he comes right out of the gate. You know what I mean? And
which he never does.
And he stayed basically almost in the lead, the 3/4 of the way around, and then he started to run. He won the race by like 31 lengths. There was no other horses in the picture. Okay, nobody was near him. It's never been touched. Nobody's even come close. Now, okay, so what, perfect. Okay, perfect ending of this. Now you go back to the Wood Memorial. Well, what happened at the Wood Memorial right before these 3 big races? Well, he got an abscess. Nobody knew it. Okay, by the time he got to the Kentucky Derby, the abscess had healed. He could run his race. And I just think that's too cute. Okay, that just doesn't happen. He's great, he's this, he's that, he's that. And then when he's got to come through, he don't come through. Why? Because he's got an abscess. That's the Lord. I mean, that's him I'm just going to play a little bit with these people. I'm just going to. So that's how I always. And when you see the movie and you look back, you just. No, because this is too perfect a story. This kind of thing, it just. And the way he wins, it's just, anyway. So it's a very inspiring movie. And it really shows one woman going into a man's world and succeeding.
I like what you say about God giving us choice. Like,
we have free will.
He gives us free will, but I think that he gives us.
Not a leash, but
no. This is the only thing I can equate it to is what, as a teacher, I have done to the students, and I'll say, okay, here are your options for today and tomorrow.
Right.
I could either teach half the period today, teach half the period tomorrow, and you have classwork the rest of the period.
Right.
Or I can teach all day today, and then you have classwork all day tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. Either way.
Right.
I'm still teaching the same material I would teach both days, and they're still doing the same amount of work that they would have done on both days.
But you're letting them have a choice.
I'm giving them a choice.
Right.
You can either do it this way or this way. And I think that God does that sometimes. He's like, I'm going to give you a choice. I know that you need to end up at point B.
Right.
You can take path A, path B, path C, or path D.
Right.
Your choice. One of these is an easy path. One of these is a hard path.
Right.
And then, but
it doesn't matter. You're going to end up there.
You're going to end up there.
Right. And that's
this one is a little hard. The 2 middle ones, it could be, whichever. And then maybe you might need to jump from C to D.
Right.
But undoubtedly, at the end of the game, you're going to end up right where you want you.
Right. Yeah. See, and I believe in that. And I because I've had so many times in my life where I can look back and see. I mean, there was a time I've always been close to God. Okay, the whole time. Now I'm really starting to see fingerprints. You know what I mean? Where let me see what.
I did that. I had a luck of, I don't want to say a bout of some good fortune, and I should say the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been really blessed with challenges that have happened in my life that.
Right.
Okay, I need to fix this, and I go to take care of these issues, and which means I have to go talk to my superiors.
Right.
And they can either say yes or no.
Right.
And they've always sided on the good.
Right.
Where, okay, yes, you can do this.
It was still a gamble.
This.
Right.
Because it's out of my hands.
Right.
You know, I've been placed in a situation. I have to go and confirm with
Right.
this person that I can still, you know.
Right.
And they say yes. And I actually went to church. I don't usually go to church.
Right. Church is where you find it.
Well,
But you went to church.
I
Went to a formal church.
I went to a formal church. It was a Pentecostal church. One of my
Okay.
friends went there, and it was a little out of my element because I was
Right.
raised Catholic.
But you figured as long as you was with somebody, it was safe.
Yeah, because that's where people were speaking in tongues, and I was
Right.
a little like, but coming from the strictness and rigor of a Catholic church, and
Right.
going to this Pentecostal,
Right.
which was whatever, but I was very grateful for that because I felt that I needed to give thanks because they
Things had gone
things
right.
had gone right, and they still go right, and I think maybe one of these, in the next month or so, I might go back.
Go again.
Just to say thank you. I don't
Do
usually.
you pray?
I do.
I'm a prayer. I pray every single night. I thank God every single night for you.
I pray.
I don't know why,
I
but
don't pray
I pray.
as formally as I guess. I don't ever get down on my knees. You don't
No.
ever hear me. I never.
That's-
even
that's
in my
not
mind,
necessary.
No, even in my mind.
Prayer is just talking to God.
Right. Even in my mind, you don't ever hear the dear God or dear Lord or dear Heavenly
Right,
Father.
right.
I never started off as a letter. I just
Right.
am like.
You
I
talk. Just go.
Talk in my head. Yeah.
That's it. Well, that's okay. Let's totally good.
But I've learned. I also realized I surround myself with very spiritual,
Right.
faith-filled people.
Right. Well,
Because I don't always.
I'm a spiritual person.
I
Big,
don't
big.
always go to. I mean, I don't go to church.
Coming here is like coming to church. Okay.
I've learned. I don't know
Have
what
you?
you're talking about. I'm talking about with the Catholic faith. From my experience in the Catholic churches that I have been to,
Right.
they're very politicized.
Right.
They're very.
At least they stopped talking Latin.
They're very almost society.
It's very social.
I don't know how to put it. If standings, like a social standing,
Right.
you were respected if the president of the women's club or the men's club or the all of these
Right.
church organizations that are embedded
Right.
within the Catholic Church.
Right.
That was high standing. If you
Belonged.
not even if you belonged, but if you helped.
You volunteered and stuff.
Yeah, if you volunteered or if you helped with the communion or to bring up the gifts.
Right.
All of that stuff, if you did that, then you were of great standing in the church.
Right.
But heaven forbid there be one time where you can't do that. And that's happened to me in a couple other churches. I wanted to become more active in the church.
Right.
But, the activity in the church has to be based on the constrictions
Of your life.
Of my life that are needed to earn a living and survive.
Right.
And when I said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do
Right.
this. I can't help this.
See, but
week
that's when they hurt
turn your
themselves.
back.
That's
Yeah, and I just say forget that. So I
that's-
don't usually do the organized.
And that's why
Places.
it's a shame that the churches did. That's why I'm doing the show Revelations that's coming up on December 21st. Well, the December 21st, 2012 is the end of the world, according to the Mayan calendar. What it really is an end of a certain intellectual knowledge base, and I personally am going to take them into the next stage. So if you watch our show on December 21st, 2012, it'll be on the web that night at 8 o'clock. It will take you,
Did you
boom.
see the commercial about? There's a investment commercial. It's so funny. It was like, if you believe the Mayan calendar, on December 21st, the
something
magnetic polar of the Earth will disappear and everyone will just float off into space or something like
Right.
that. And then he says, so at this point, why would you want to bother planning for retirement?
Right.
But then, and you see this great graphic, and then a couple seconds later, it's like, but should the sun rise on the December 22nd,
Right.
maybe you might want to have a backup plan. Go with us.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I forgot where I was going. Anyway.
Revelations.
Oh well, yeah. Well, so I'm going to pick them up and take them where they need to go. And one of the points that, and it's important to have happen because the church started. let's say the Christian church started 2,000 years ago, approximately. All right, and the problem is they based everything. They didn't grow with the times. They take everything that happened that was taught in such a way as to teach people who had a limited knowledge base and brought it all the way through. We talked about this once before, the Lord's Prayer. I think I used that as an example. Okay.
Well, the whole Christian faith, the rituals of the Christian faith, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or whatever,
right,
are embedded, or have the roots are based in paganism.
Yeah, but the problem is that the church intervened in such a way as to put itself. Christ was trying to tell people that God and heaven and all that other stuff is contained within us. You do not have to go to anybody to get it.
Right.
And the churches, all of them, interpose themselves between you and God. You got to go to church to get to God. You got to go to church to get to Christ. Because if you don't come to church and you can't be saved, okay. That's
that
wrong.
That tends to be the Catholic.
That's the Catholic. Yeah, that's the Catholic. But all churches are like that. Okay, and
there are some, well, not all churches.
Well,
there are some where I understand some of it, like this Pentecostal church I was at. It was about having the fellowship and
that's good.
Expressing your faith and worshiping
right
together. Not like you had to go to get salvation. It was let's do it together. This is our meeting place,
right?
For us
that's
to
different.
Celebrate at the same time.
And you see,
and I liked that.
And that's also the proper way to use a church. It's a great place to get together, social functions, hang out with people that have the same beliefs as you, grow and all that stuff. But as far as God and heaven and being in touch, no. They have nothing to do. They do not provide that step. That is something you've got to get within yourself. And they would have served themselves better if they had been telling their parishioners, we serve this function, God's in you.
I'll tell you this, it wasn't until I was graduated from high school and went to college that I was informed that God is loving. And yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
it's a little late. You should have that when you're like a little tiny kid.
I went to a Catholic elementary school. God was feared because if you kicked somebody, you would go to hell. If you did this, if you misbehaved in class, you went to hell. And
that's what's hurt them.
And that's we would have confession once a month because you had to go and confess your sins to the priest of all the times you misbehaved in class.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. And why should I have to confess to any person?
Yeah.
Now see, and if they hadn't made a confession, if they hadn't been and made it more of a therapy visit, in other words, let's go share. You're not confessing, you're sharing.
I will appreciate this. I know it seems like I have been disgracing the Catholic faith.
No,
I mean, not
you're just making observations.
Yeah. But what I'm grateful for is the ritual. As much as when I was younger, when you're learning about faith and God and things like that, there was a pattern to it. I could go to any Catholic church anywhere in the world and any mass service, and it's the exact same
Right. It's like McDonald's.
Yeah, well, no, even McDonald's is different all around the world.
Well, okay, your point is well taken.
I mean, you can still get a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Right.
But at any McDonald's, but when I was in high school,
Plus because it's formatted, and you just follow the format. You follow the rudiments.
Yeah, but that, I think, I appreciated that because it...
So for a certain security, comfortableness?
There was a security, a comfortableness, and an ability to understand
what's happening.
I think, of what was going on during a service. But now that I'm older, I appreciate the freedom of a worshiping service like that the church was. And I want to go back. It was a little... having been Catholic, I was like, ooh.
We have to start wrapping up.
What's this song?
This week's song is called The Girl and You. This is retirement money. This is my I should be able to retire. This song should be either a Lady Clairol commercial or Helena Rubinstein, The Girl in You. I mean, when you hear this song, if it does not make you think of some kind of Max Factor makeup, okay, I mean, it is a perfect
cover girl.
That's a cover girl. I mean, it's a perfect
Dear
commercial.
Girl.
Dear cover girl, sign me up. I want to retire.
Is it 13 or 14,000?
What do you mean?
Or how many people watch it? Or
Oh,
1,400?
it's only about 1,400.
1,400.
Okay.
Okay, if any of the 1,400 viewers out there
Or with Lady
have a
Clairol,
connection, have
cover
a
girl.
connection to somebody,
Watch this
hook 'em
song,
up.
The Girl in You. It is a great commercial for some product.
Do something good every day and volunteer at your local animal shelter.
The girl in you brings out the boy in me. Every time we walk down the street, arm in arm, the world can see. The girl in you is with the boy in me. The girl in you and those things you do. The woman in you brings out the man in me, standing like a rock against the raging sea. The woman in you makes a man of me, but the girl in you brings out the boy in me. Baby, those things you do, they make my dreams come true. Like when the girl in you fell for the boy in me. The lady in you is such a vision to see, floating and dancing so gracefully. It brings out the Fred Astaire in me, but the girl in you brings out the boy